Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and I have some exclusive news for you today from Toyota. I actually talked to a real Toyota engineer, and he shared with me the details on the infotainment system and gave me the honor of sharing with you some exclusive news coming in February of next year. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what the exclusive news is, and then we'll talk about the conversation I had with Chief Engineer of Multimedia, Brian Inouye. I hope I said it right, Brian. Had a great conversation, but this is the news right here. This profile screen, yeah, that is going away. Now, that is a byproduct, believe it or not, of the videos I did on this channel. People claimed I had user error, I was a hick, didn't know what I was talking about. Well, it turns out that they had planned on making this change anyways, and that my issue with the system highlighted the problems with that screen, and so they are going to accelerate when they're dropping that system. Profile not loaded, guest mode situation going off the screen. It sounds like from my Toyota contacts, the target is going to be February for a software update, and there'll be more updates as well, because through Brian and I's conversation, I shared with him a few issues that I was having, and he took some video of it, he took some notes, and so no, it's not a user error issue going on. This is a real problem. Now, I do have some insight into why this system's set the way it is. So let's talk about this. So this, and again, I'm going to put the camera close to the screen. The camera's flicker rate and the screen's refresh rate causes some issues with blinking, but let me get close. So I showed you this, the profile not loaded guest mode. And the reason for that system is they were thinking more along the lines of a valet system. So like if you go to valet and you have a profile loaded in your car, it's feasible that valet could go ahead and press your navigation button, find your home address, and then send somebody to rob your house while you're having a fancy dinner. It's a real issue. I mean, that you see different brands throughout the year that I drive will have valet mode, they have different valet keys, things like that. And in this case, this is what the idea behind the system was. So they kind of designed it for that 1 to 2 percentile, and instead of going for like the main percentile of most average users. And that's okay, that happens. Big corporations have that situation where they have a little bit of groupthink going on, and you get down this rabbit hole and you just keep going. So what my issue with it is if you remember my videos on this, is when you get the truck, you have to download the app, you have to set up an account, a password, a PIN, you have to verify the PIN with the app, then you gotta go into the settings here, and I'll say English, and then you got a QR code, which you QR code and scan to the app. Now, a little bit of a weird thing, because the QR code also will send you a text message to download the app. So there's some growing pains there. And I do wish the PIN from the account information that you set up would go to a text message, not an email, because the email, like I pointed out, had 5 minutes to put the PIN in and the PIN expired. So again, you know, some real world usage I'm putting through the system, and they're taking the feedback. And as you guys have commented on the channel, yeah, Toyota's watching all these videos. So they're well aware of my viewpoint on this, and thank for the listening. So we had a great conversation, like I said. So that is going away. That's the issue with that. So, and I guess my other big issue is, you know, this is going out throughout the Toyota lineup, which means that Lexus products and Toyota products, like the NX is the first time you see the system. And I think in some of those situations, some of those vehicles, people will have driver profiles. They want to do lighting just right. They want to do the seat just right. They want to do radio settings just right. I think sometimes in a truck situation, though, not every guy is going to want to do a driver profile, and you have to set up a driver profile for each person driving it if you want to go through that process. So I'm excited to see that with that screen going away, and this is the big deal. See how big that screen is? This screen on the overall screen, so you can't see around it. And when that's gone, you know, whether your truck loads in a profile mode or not, at least you can drive your truck. That was my big thing, and that's why I did these videos, was not just for me and my benefit, because who cares about that? I'm not gonna keep the truck this long. For me, it's about you, the consumers. I'm trying to highlight issues to make your ownership experience better. Now, I have a few notes here. I'll make sure I go through a couple things. So that's what guest mode and valet mode is, and the reason it loaded on my screen this time, you might be thinking, well, Tim, didn't you and Brian fix it? Didn't you guys fix the issue? Well, we did, sort of. So this is my other issue with it, is the profiles are linked to a key fob. Okay, so what you do is you hit dismiss, and then I can go to settings here, and I can click on my name, and then I got to enter my PIN. So, and this is only because, it's not user error, it's only because I used the wrong key fob. And let me explain this. Enter my secretive PIN. You guys don't want to see that? Okay, so it's going to load me on the system. It's going to take away this, Ask if I want to adjust my seats. No, I'm fine. Everything's being loaded. But here's the issue. When you go to personal information, the button here has got to be set link key. So that's it. That is the main key issue there. So if you don't load a key when you get in your truck each time, guest mode comes up. However, Brian and I spent, I don't know, a good half an hour working on this. And what we have decided is that the secondary key, the one with the little circle versus the one with the big circle, doesn't work. So no matter what him and I did, this key will not link to my profile. And so if I leave the house with the wrong key fob, I have to hit that close screen every time. So for me, I don't really care. If once that screen goes away, I just hop in with a truck because I don't need the profile. But for other consumers, I could only get one key to load. We could only get one key to load. So he's working on this. So this is something his team's working on, and there's going to be some more changes coming. So you can have up like 3 profiles, I think, per key fob and all this kind of craziness. So that's the issue there. So that was going on. So when I get my truck with this, every single time my profile loads. I get in with this key, never loads. And so this key I'm just kind of gonna put in my office and leave it there. And so that's what the whole situation there was. My issue is that link key setting should be automatic on, and it should pop up during the setup process. Because it's so vital, it should be a pop-up. It should be like, you are linked to the system. Do you want a link key? Yes or no? And that should be a big screen, because that is the penultimate screen you have to have. If you miss that screen, you're gonna be hitting cancel a lot. You won't know what's going on. You have 2 keys, which key's working with which key, which I'm sure is gonna be settled later. They'll figure out how the keys work. And so, yeah, that's the issue currently. So this video may be outdated by the time you see it, but that's the issue currently. My other issues with it were a couple things. GPS. So there is a setting here. There's a setting here, actually. Okay, here it is, sorry. Set date and time by GPS. Now that is off by default. And I was talking to Brian about this because it seems odd to me that would be off by default. I think you'd want that on by default and turn it off if you don't want it. I think it's got to be the inverse. And again, I think this is where their team, brilliant people, probably overthought it a little bit. And it's set up for people that want to set it by themselves. They want the clock to not do GPS. They want to set it to be early or late, depending on how their lives are. If they want to be to work early or late, they set the clock differently. It seems a little bit not the way society is these days, because I have a watch, iPhone watch or phone. I have the Apple Watch. I mean, I know what time it is all the time. So I think that's an issue they're working on as well. There was an issue with the time zone. And if I go to general time zone, I think it's, anyways, there was an issue with the time zone, and that was set to not update per as you're driving. So the clock would not update on the time zone as you're driving, which I think that's backwards as well. I think that needs to update. Maybe clutch the clock. Yeah, that's a shortcut. So one thing I learned too is if you press the clock button, it takes you to the screen right away, so you can set the clock. So a little bit of a cheat shortcut. But my issue was, I don't understand a situation where you'd be driving across the country and you would not want the clock to update versus time zone. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's somebody getting comments say I never liked that feature. I think that should be on by default, and then you can take it off as you don't need it. Now, my other those were the main issues that I had with the system. As I dig in more, I'm gonna probably find more stuff, but I just want to share the news with you today that the exclusive news is that guest mode box is going away. So you will be able to hop in your truck at some point, drive, no matter what key fob, you'll be able to loan your truck to somebody, they'll be able to hop in and drive. If you have a fleet and you want to use these like a fleet truck and you have a variety of people working, they can hop in the truck and drive, and that screen's going away in February. And so I still think there's some growing pains in this. I still would like to see some split screen, navigation, and I'd like to see a radio. I'd like to see the radio open to this screen first instead of this over here. So I mean, there's some growing pains and some customer feedback, and I'm going to keep diving into the system and keep giving them feedback because they are watching and they're reading comments and stuff. So I am curious to see, as I get to use the system more and more, how much that changes and how much I find things I like about the system. So that's news today. I just want to keep it short and sweet. Make sure you check these other videos over here. I have a whole playlist of 2022 Toyota Tundra Limited, the things I'm finding, the things I like, things I don't like. There's also first drive, and I have much more information coming on that. Website down below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you down the road.